There's something about classic anime that modern shows just can't replicate. Whether it's the hand-drawn animation, the ambitious storytelling, or just that distinct aesthetic from a time when the industry was still figuring itself out. These older titles have a charm that's hard to ignore. Now, I'm not here to tell you that old anime is automatically better than new anime. That's a tired argument. But what I will say is that there are decades worth of fantastic shows and movies that often get overlooked because they're not as accessible or talked about as much anymore. Some of these laid the groundwork for everything that came after. Others are just genuinely great pieces of entertainment that deserve more attention. So in this video, I'm going to recommend 20 retro anime worth checking out. These aren't ranked, it's just a list of titles I think are worth your time. Some are well-known classics, others are a bit more obscure. Let's get into it. We're starting with one of the most influential anime ever made, Space Battleship Yamato. This show aired in 1974 and basically helped define what anime could be as a medium for serious storytelling. The premise is pretty straightforward. Earth has been bombarded by an alien empire called the Gamilas, and humanity has 1 year before extinction. The only hope is to travel across the galaxy to retrieve a device that can cleanse the radiation. So they rebuild the legendary World War II battleship Yamato as a spaceship and send it on this desperate mission. What makes Yamato special is its sense of scale and the chemistry among its crew. The relationship between Captain Okita and the young hothead Kodai drives a lot of the emotional weight. The orchestral soundtrack is genuinely epic, and for 1974, the animation is impressive. Now, it does have some dated elements. The pacing can feel slow by modern standards, and there's a fair bit of plot armor. But this is foundational stuff. It won the Seiyun Award in 1975 and influenced countless space operas that followed. Future Boy Conan is directed by Hayao Miyazaki before he founded Studio Ghibli, and you can see so many elements here that would later define his filmography. Strong heroines, environmental themes, a sense of adventure and wonder. The story takes place 20 years after a global catastrophe. A boy named Conan lives on a remote island with his grandfather, believing they're the last humans alive. That changes when a girl named Lana washes up on the beach. She's being hunted by a militaristic nation called Industria, and Conan sets out to rescue her. It's an essential classic. The animation is excellent for its time, and the whimsy is infectious. Heidi, Girl of the Alps. This one's directed by Isao Takahata, who would later co-found Ghibli alongside Miyazaki. Heidi, Girl of the Alps, is a 52-episode adaptation of the classic novel by Johanna Spyri. After becoming an orphan, young Heidi is sent to live with her grumpy grandfather in the Swiss Alps. Her warmth eventually opens his heart, and she finds happiness among the mountains with her friend Peter. But things change when she's taken to Frankfurt to be a companion for a wealthy invalid girl named Clara, and has to deal with the strict governess, Fraulein Rottenmeier. There's this genuine sense of childlike wonder throughout. That said, the middle section set in Frankfurt can drag. Candy Candy is a true classic in the shoujo genre. It ran for 115 episodes and tells the story of Candy, a warm-hearted orphan who grows up at an orphanage before being adopted by a wealthy but cruel family. What makes it work is how much feeling it squeezes out of fairly straightforward drama. Some might find the constant emotional moments a bit much, and the 1970s audio quality isn't great, but the charm is still there after all these years. From the Apennines to the Andes. Another Isao Takahata work from Nippon Animation's World Masterpiece Theater. This one's 52 episodes and follows a young boy named Marco who lives in poverty in Genoa, Italy. His mother travels to Argentina to find work, but after a year, her letters stop coming. Fearing the worst, Marco embarks on a 3,000-league journey to find her. Along the way, he encounters both kindness and cruelty, and the show doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of his situation. Fair warning, if you watch this, you will cry. The emotional power here is intense, and the depiction of human struggle feels very realistic. The artwork is phenomenal for the mid-70s. The pacing is slow, and the soundtrack isn't particularly memorable, but the emotional payoff makes it worthwhile. Nobody's Boy Remi. Directed by Osamu Dezaki, this 51-episode series is another emotionally devastating watch. Remi lives happily in the French countryside until his father returns and reveals he's adopted, then sells him because the family needs money. Remi joins Vitalis, a traveling musician with a troupe of dogs and a monkey. They travel across France, and Remi learns harsh lessons about poverty, hunger, and death while searching for his biological parents. The story is dark and heart-wrenching without being pure misery for its own sake. One criticism is that the narrator talks too much and sometimes spoils plot points, but overall, it's a powerful experience. Perrine Monogatari. After her father dies, young Perrine and her Indian mother travel over 1,000 kilometers from Bosnia to France. They survive by photographing people along the way. The show is meticulously researched, offering a detailed look at 1880s factory life. The emotional payoff at the end is deeply satisfying, a real tearjerker. If you appreciate slow burn character drama, this is one of the best. Aura Battler Dunbine. Directed by Yoshiyuki Tomino of Gundam fame, Dunbine is an isekai mecha series from Sunrise. An 18-year-old from Tokyo named Sho Zama gets transported to Byston Well, a medieval fantasy world. He's forced to pilot Aura Battlers, these insectoid mechs powered by human aura, for an ambitious lord. The insect mecha designs are unique and striking. They blend biological and mechanical elements in a way that still looks cool today. The world building and use of the isekai concept were ahead of their time. Hokuto no Ken needs little introduction. It's one of the most iconic action anime ever made and has influenced almost every Japanese action show that came after. Set in a post-apocalyptic world devastated by nuclear war, Kenshiro is the successor of Hokuto Shinken, a martial art that makes your opponents explode from the inside out. After being betrayed by his rival and losing his fiancée Yuria, Ken wanders the wasteland defending the helpless from raiders and warlords. It's over the top in the best way. There's also repetitive animation and filler arcs, as you'd expect from 109 episodes, but the action and iconic moments make it essential viewing. Fang of the Sun Dougram. This 75-episode mecha series from Sunrise is one of the more intelligent takes on the genre. On the colonial planet Deloyer, guerrilla fighters rebel against the Earth Federation's installed dictator. What makes Dougram different is that the robot isn't an overpowered win button. The story focuses on supply lines, propaganda, political intrigue, the logistics of rebellion. The villains have realistic motivations rather than just wanting to destroy the world. If you want a mecha show with real substance and complexity, this delivers. Area 88 is a 3-episode OVA where each episode runs over an hour. It follows Shin Kazama, a promising commercial pilot who gets tricked by his friend into signing a mercenary contract. Forced into a brutal civil war in a foreign nation, Shin must either serve 3 years or earn $1.5 million to buy his freedom. He becomes a deadly fighter ace, but the constant killing takes a psychological toll. The hand-drawn dogfights are considered peak 80s animation, still beautiful and well choreographed. The psychological exploration of war is compelling. Some plot elements are a bit ridiculous, but the action and atmosphere more than make up for it. The Dagger of Kamui. Directed by Rintaro at Madhouse, this is a 2-hour historical fantasy epic. A young boy named Jiro is falsely accused of murdering his family. He's taken in by a priest who trains him as an assassin. Jiro embarks on a global journey, Russia, America, searching for Captain Kidd's lost treasure to fund his revenge and prevent Japan's isolation from the world. The soundtrack is outstanding, fusing 80s rock with traditional Japanese music. There are these unique animation sequences where objects dissipate into glittering, colorful particles. It's an ambitious historical adventure that deserves more attention. They Were 11. This 90-minute movie from 1986 is an overlooked sci-fi classic. In a future where an interstellar alliance maintains peace, the elite Cosmo Academy is the gateway to any career you want. Lane Tadados reaches the final entrance exam and is placed in a group of 10 on a stranded ship. They must survive for 53 days without outside communication. The problem? There are 11 people aboard instead of 10. Paranoia sets in as they face viruses, bombs, and the question of who the imposter is. The premise is compelling, and the cast of alien personalities is varied and interesting. And the character designs make it worth watching. Venus Wars. Based on the manga by Yoshikazu Yasuhiko, this 1989 movie is set on terraformed Venus, where 2 nations go to war. Hiro Seno, a hotshot motorcycle jockey, witnesses the initial invasion and, despite his anti-war stance, ends up fighting on the front lines using combat bikes against massive tanks. The vehicle artwork is incredibly detailed, and the animation is smooth in that old-school way that modern digital animation often can't replicate. Worth watching for the visuals and action, just don't expect a coherent narrative. Sazan Eyes. This 4-episode OVA is a dark, gothic horror series. Yakumo is a teenager working odd jobs who encounters Pai, the last of a race of 3-eyed demons. After Yakumo is killed by a monster, Pai absorbs his soul, making him her immortal servant. They embark on a journey to find a magical statue that can make them both human. It's extremely rushed, covering only a tiny fraction of the 40-volume manga. But as a standalone dark fantasy, it's effective. Otaku no Video. This 2-episode OVA from Gainax is part anime, part mockumentary. It follows Takeshi Kubo, an average college student who gets pulled into the world of geeks and decides to become the Otaking, the king of the otaku. The animated segments fictionalize the founding of Gainax itself, while live-action interviews feature real otaku with their faces censored. It's an introspective look at fan culture during its peak 90s eccentricity. Some found the live-action segments mean-spirited, portraying fans as antisocial losers. But if you're interested in Gainax's history or want a time capsule of what anime fandom looked like back then, it's fascinating viewing. Bastard. This is peak early 90s fantasy anime. Metallicana is getting wiped out, so they resort to reviving Dark Schneider, an absurdly strong, foul-mouthed sorcerer who once led the same villains now attacking the place. It leans hard into 90s tropes of violence and fan service with enough sincerity to avoid being pure parody. The English dub is legendary for its comedic timing and snarky delivery. The writing can feel pretty generic and the characters a bit shallow, but if you're in the mood for dumb fun with a classic aesthetic, this totally delivers. Photon, The Idiot Adventures. This one's a weird mix of sci-fi, comedy, and ecchi. The main guy, Photon Earth, is absurdly strong. He accidentally gets engaged to a fugitive pilot, and from there, things just keep escalating. The humor is hit or miss, but when it works, it really works. The story gets surprisingly big at times. The ending kind of fizzles out, and yeah, some parts are a little uncomfortable, but if you're into absurdist comedy, there's a good chance you'll have fun with it. Spriggan. This is a 1998 Studio 4C movie about ancient alien tech that humanity really shouldn't be messing with. There's this group called Arkham that sends elite agents called Spriggans to lock these artifacts away before everything goes sideways. The main plot kicks off when Noah's Ark turns up in the Ararat Mountains, and you get sent in to check it out, only to run straight into a rogue Pentagon unit that wants to use the Ark for themselves. The animation is incredible. The fights are smooth, the choreography is wild. The story, though, is pretty basic, and the final showdown drags longer than it should. Still, as pure eye candy, it's absolutely worth seeing. Crest of the Stars. This is a 13-episode space opera from Sunrise. The story follows Jinto, who ends up tied to the alien Ob Empire after his father surrenders their planet, and he gets paired up with Princess Lafiel, the heir to the throne. The two of them spend most of the series traveling together while a much bigger war is unfolding in the background, and that relationship is really what carries the show. If you like slower, character-driven sci-fi with deep world-building, this is an easy recommendation. So, those are 20 retro anime worth checking out. Some are foundational classics that shaped the medium, others are hidden gems that never got the attention they deserved. The thing about older anime is that it can be harder to access and requires a bit more patience sometimes. The pacing is different, the animation styles have aged, but there's also a craftsmanship and ambition in a lot of these titles that makes them worth the effort. If you've got any classic anime recommendations that I didn't mention, drop them in the comments. There are decades of material out there, and this list barely scratches the surface. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing for more recommendations. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.